that run this whole region. They're standing up and they're fighting the kidnapping and the violence and the crime.
So the question is, what are the Mormons doing down in Mexico in the first place? Mormons originally came down to Mexico in the late 1800s after the American government forced the Mormon church to ban polygamy. The problem with this is that Joseph Smith, the prophet of the religion, held that polygamy was actually a divine commandment. He believed that you can only reach the highest level of the celestial kingdom, or heaven, if you are actually a partner in a plural marriage. So basically, the more wives you had, the better heaven would be. And rather than give up their place in heaven, many moved down to Mexico to continue to practice polygamy and thereby assure their place in the afterlife. Here, in the seclusion of the Mexican desert, they could practice all the standard Mormon rituals like baptizing the dead or wearing magic underwear, but also the more controversial plural marriage, or, as we were soon to find out, the outright insane practice of blood atonement. So after about 5 hours of some very nervous driving and a couple of very thorough stops at military checkpoints, not to mention 2 stops at drive-through liquor stores to calm our very jangly nerves, we finally arrived at the Mormon Promised Land. We left Juarez, which is very dirty and poor and very druggy, and then all of a sudden you come over this hill and there's orchards and golf courses. The streets are laid out nice. They've got nice schools. Kids are playing baseball. And there's angels. And it's kind of like, we've come to God's country because it's beautiful here and they obviously have money. So this is why they're being targeted by the narcos and this is why they have to fight back. So now we're going to go meet some Mormons who are actually fighting the narco cartels. This is Brent Lebaron's farm. They are sort of famously secretive about their weapons, their fighting, because they don't want to be targeted anymore by the cartels. But we're going to go meet him and see if he'll show us around. Brent?
Yeah, how's it going?
Shane Smith.
Brent Lebaron, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How you doing?
Doing very, very well.
This is your farm?
This is my farm. Farm chili and a little bit of wheat. All depends the time of the season.
We've heard that the Lebaron family, the Lebaron colony, has sort of been standing up to some of the narco cartels.
Yeah, we've had a few run-ins with them. Don't like to say too much about it, but I'd love to show you around. Let's go.
Let's do it. Now, I didn't know what to expect when I first met Brent, and when I did, he seemed to me more American than most Americans. In fact, I wouldn't have been surprised if he told me he played linebacker for Alabama. But when he started to give me the tour around the cemetery, I realized that his story was anything but normal.
This is a graveyard where my grandfather and great-grandfather are buried. The original story is they come down for the cause of plural marriage to continue it.
Right.
Mexico allowed it.
So they wanted to continue polygamy.
Yes. My great-grandfather, being a fundamentalist, he broke away from the Mormon church because he had 2 wives. That's when he went to establish Colonial Lebaron. They established 5 or 6 colonies down here.
The colony would be like a family.
With a few families.
Right. And then your grandfather had 10 wives.
Yes, had children by 8 of those 10, but yes.
And how many grandkids did he have?
Between grandkids and great-grandkids, they're probably pushing the 400 mark right now.
All named Lebaron.
All named Lebaron.
Now, having more than 400 grandchildren might seem extreme to some, but it's nothing compared to the shit that Brent's Uncle Ervil got up to. He was a straight-up fucking lunatic. Now, Ervil not only had 13 wives and over 50 children, but he also used his own family, including his own kids, as assassins. Dubbed the Mormon Manson, Ervil and his family were suspects in over 40 murders.
Joel Lebaron was killed by his own brother, Ervil, because of blood atonement.
Yes. Well, Ervil tried to take over the church, and he started claiming blood atonement, the right to kill in the name of God. If you oppose him, he has the right to kill you.
Right.
Once Ervil snapped, he just went on a killing spree. He had his daughters killed, his wives killed, his sons killed, and it just went from there. I mean, he went haywire.
So Ervil goes on this killing spree across Mexico and the United States, and at one point the Secret Service is after him because he threatens to kill President Carter. They finally captured Ervil in 1979 and sent him to prison, and all the killing stops, right? Wrong.
And then after he dies in jail, people keep on killing for him. He killed up to 25 people after he died because he left a sort of hit list And they kept killing.
They kept killing, yes, they did.
Now, as Brent is telling me all this, I had to keep in mind that this blood atonement killing spree isn't taking place in the 1880s or anything. This is all happening in the 1980s.
My grandfather ran from him for probably 10 years.
Wow.
I mean, he chased my grandpa clear to Nicaragua.
Your great uncle was trying to kill your grandfather.
Vernon M. Lebaron died in a car accident right out of Mexico City. A lot of people have been skeptical that actually Ervil had something to do with it. And his last recorded words were, "Brother, it looks like we've been ran off the road."
That's some crazy shit.
Yeah. That's just a modern day Cain and Abel here.
Do you think that that's one of the reasons why, because you had this sort of familial civil war, you got tighter as a family, so when the narcos came after your family, you were sort of tougher?
Oh, definitely everyone was a watchman.
Now, what he's saying here is that because of Ervil, everyone in the LeBaron clan watched out for everyone else. So when the cartels kidnapped one of their own, they were ready. Eric LeBaron was only 16 when he was abducted and held for $1 million ransom.
You didn't pay the ransom.
We didn't pay the ransom.
Right. Even if you could get the money and paid it, they're just going to keep doing it.
Just going to keep coming and keep doing
They'll
it.
just use the money to buy more guns and get more powerful.
Exactly. If we don't sever the head off this monster right now, it's just going to get worse. We had to go to the government and say, hey, you won't allow us to bear arms.
Right.
But you're supposed to protect us.
The protest forced the government to put pressure on the kidnappers, and as is quite rare in these situations, Eric was returned unharmed after paying no ransom. However, it also served to enrage the local drug lord named El Raquin, who only lived 8 miles down the road from Colonial Lebaron. Now, this is a narco who loves drugs so much that he actually massacred 18 people trying to get off the stuff at a drug rehab center. And now, he's after the Lebarons.